Welcome back, guys, to another episode of our Driver Focus. We are here in the RaceChoice studio, joined by me, my host, Andrew Molleur. And in studio today for an interview, we have Anthony Bello, SK Modified driver at Stafford Speedway, Thompson Motorsports Park, even the Waterford Speed Bowl occasionally, as well as Tour-type modified driver and NASCAR wheel and modified tour driver. So, Anthony, thanks for coming down and doing this with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, really glad to do this interview with Anthony. Anthony's been a longtime friend of mine for many years as his racing career began. He's been racing with Andrew as well, running in the SK division, picked up his first win at Stafford last season. So congrats on that. We'll talk about that later in this show. So Anthony, tell us a little bit about your 2022 season, and then we'll carry into 2023. I know you ran New Smyrna of Speed Weeks last month. So tell us a little bit about that and how 2022 went.
Yeah, for sure. Last year was definitely a huge year for me. Like you said, I picked up my first SK win at Stafford Speedway. And, Stafford Speedway is a hard track. As you know, you've raced there and you've also raced there.
The competition is the best of the best, so it's definitely, when you can win there, it's huge.
Yeah, so, we started the year off, finished 8th in my first race out. That was a really cool, huge confidence booster, and kind of just kept that momentum throughout the whole season, and ended up 7th in points or Rookie of the Year, and that was my goal. So, and with a ton of other racing too, with the Open Modified number 19 for John Jensen, and with Paul French in the number 2, finished 3rd on the MRS, almost won championship, but came up a little short on that one.
Yeah, no, and I know we kind of just touched on it before. Went down to New Smyrna obviously a couple of weeks ago. Talk about how that went for you. Was that that was your first time down there with the tour type modified, right? Running the full week.
That was my second year actually.
Oh, okay.
Last year we went down there with Jensen too, but this year we really stepped it up a notch. Went through the whole car, revamped the whole car, front to back, top to bottom, and we ran really good. 7th in points, 1 top 5. 3 top 10s, and qualified first on Thursday night. So
that's awesome, and I know you won the championship down there with the crate modified
602 division,
right?
Yeah.
Last year I think it was
2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
Yep.
So that, you have some good luck over there, right? Do you like that track?
Yeah, I love New Smyrna. It's a really cool place. It's kind of a mix between 2 really familiar tracks, Thompson and Stafford.
Yeah.
If you mash them together, it's like New Smyrna Speedway.
That's awesome.
And you've done a lot of racing throughout your career so far. You just turned 17 at the end of last year. So really young. You're still in high school. What are you, a junior this year?
I'm a junior.
So
yeah.
Still in high school. He's young. Andrew's young, and I'm kind of getting older now, as Andrew says every week. Before this, he said I'm almost turning 30.
Yeah.
So definitely a young gun to watch out for. He's been coming up through the ranks. I've been fortunate enough to help him for a long time now. Obviously, you bought my Legend car back in 2018. Had a couple runs with that. Had some wins at Bethel Motor Speedway, and just you've been climbing up through the ranks and making really good progress. And not just in Legend cars, but in everything. SK Lights, you had a win at Stafford, one down in New Smyrna, like Andrew said, and got some wins at Stafford last year. So, what are you most excited for this year? You're going to run full season SKs again, right?
Yeah, that's our plan, to run full season. And then, my race schedule right now is probably about 60 races. Last year we put together 52. So we're going to try to step it up a little bit, including I'm racing a Sunoco modified for Timmy Jordan at Thompson.
Oh, awesome.
So that's going to be really cool, little 5-race deal. Really excited for the Jensens this year. We ran really good at New Smyrna, hopefully to carry that, to Thompson Icebreaker and the Spring Sizzler. So, and then with Paul French on the NASCAR Wheel and Tour, not really the best showing down there, but we're a new team, new series. A lot to learn. So.
Yeah, and those are the guys. Those are the best of the best, right? The Whalen Modified Tour is almost like the Cup Series of New England, right?
Yeah.
So
it's literally the NASCAR modified.
Yeah,
so.
you have full-time guys that work on teams, so it's definitely a tough step to get over there. Are you excited to kind of be on that level? That kind of TV and all the pressure that kind of comes with it. Are you excited for it?
Yeah, we're really excited. As a lot of people have told me throughout my racing career, you want to turn into the best, be the best. You got to race with the best.
Right.
Absolutely.
And,
I totally agree.
So, those guys are really good. A few guys like John McKennedy, Ron Silk, Justin Bonsignor, just three of the top guys there, I think, who, are on the NASCAR tour. And I'm all pretty good friends with them. So, they got respect for me. I got a lot of respect for them. And it all works out.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, we're definitely excited for you, obviously. Very cool to have you in here in the studio, considering that, we've interviewed a lot of our RaceChoice drivers, and although you're not technically a RaceChoice driver, you're still a supporter of RaceChoice, and that obviously we really appreciate. So we're very, very happy to have you with us.
Yeah, you came today to RaceChoice, and you're like, Joey, I need a pair of shoes. What do you got? And we got them on display here. He hooked you up with some beautiful K1 shoes. You ready to use those this year?
Yeah, the NASCAR tour said if I don't get new shoes, then I can't race Richmond. So that's my next race, actually, is Richmond. For the racing is for Lovers 150. And these shoes hopefully will give me some good luck.
Yeah.
Nice K1 suede.
Picked up some K1 Challenger shoes, right?
Yeah. Have we? I think we've talked about.
I think
them
we have.
before.
Right?
Absolutely.
We got those in maybe a couple months ago.
Yeah.
But comfortable shoe. We've talked about them before, and hopefully they work out well for you.
That was sarcasm, Andrew. Like when I said we haven't talked about them before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've talked about them before.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're nice shoes. Right?
Yeah, they're nice shoes. They definitely are. K1 makes some good stuff, so thank you for supporting RaceChoice as always. One thing I did want to touch on a little bit, kind of going back, is your mentor, Steven Kopchik, right? The guy that's, been helping you out for the last couple of years. Talk about him a little bit and what he means to you, how he's kind of helped you get to where you are now.
So Steven, me and him met probably when I was about 8 years old. I went to Stafford the first time, and at the time we didn't know that many people from Newtown, let alone racing people, because we were into racing. We didn't have a car yet. Just watching NASCAR on TV with my dad and racing at go-karts at on-track karting in Brookfield, Connecticut. So once we heard of Steven Kopchik, and they invited us to the racetrack at Stafford. He was in the SK Light division at the time. He won the championship in 2015, and since then we've been best friends. We moved to a shop in St. Hood, Connecticut together, and it's been definitely a journey. Through my end of my legend car races years, and then into the SK Modifieds, where I started at 14 racing the SK Modifieds. Steven helped me all the way through that, and last year, he finally put me in one of his cars, and as it showed on Flow Racing last year, ran really good.
Yeah, shout out to Flow Racing. I like that.
Very good.
It's a little good advertising.
You guys have enough shelf space in there for all the trophies, or? I mean, you guys collect a lot lot of wins over there.
What a beautiful shop that is. I mean, I tell you, I've come down when I helped you back in Legend Cars when it was just getting built. I know your father, Steven, and Steven's father put in endless amounts of effort into that shop. And remember when it was empty, and now it's just like jam packed. So definitely come a long way. Anthony Bello has climbed up through the ranks. I mean, we've been saying that over and over again. Really cool. I mean, won an SK race at 16 years old this summer. And going back to that, like when you got out of the car, did it hit you right away? Like, holy crap, we just did this, or was it just like kind of just a win's a win?
That moment I think was one of the bigger moments in my career.
Absolutely.
And I think when I got out of the car, when we crossed the line, it was actually raining that night. It started raining the last 5 laps after we got past Marcello, and we crossed the line. I just went around. My spotter was so happy, and just I didn't say a thing. Just in that shock state. You've been there.
Yeah, Andrew's on a SK race at Stafford, so
And it's cool. not to whatever, but you're part of that. Like, there's a very exclusive list that we have at Stafford of SK modified drivers that were 16 when they won.
Were you 16?
I was. So
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
it's you, Chase Dowling, and myself. So I mean, like, it's cool, to know, have you part of that as well, because I feel like you're a great race car driver. You have a great future ahead of you, and you're a great competitor on the track. You're a clean driver. So I've always liked racing with you. I've always, had a lot of fun on the track. Obviously, Joe has raced with you a couple times as well. So, I mean, it's kind of cool to have us all three right here in front of the camera.
Yeah, no, that was really cool. And I actually remember earlier in the season, me and you talking, because you won, like you said, your first SK race at 16, and that kind of had that kind of goal, I guess, goal, something to really think about and want to accomplish in my racing career. Chase Dowling, he's a phenomenal race car driver. You've definitely proved yourself over the last, let's say, 5 years, through the SK lights, a lot of wins in the SK lights, a lot of wins in the SKs too.
Yep.
So, it's really an honor to be a part of that list.
Yeah, no, it's definitely cool. I mean, to be able to win in your rookie season like that, I mean, it's a big deal. So, it's definitely something to be proud of, something to be happy about too. I mean, it's a big accomplishment. So, seriously, congratulations on honestly on a great season. I mean, huge results. I mean, it's definitely pretty cool. And what are your expectations for this year? What are you kind of looking to do for 2023?
Well, we've been really close on a tour type wins, either with Jensen or Paul French. So this year is to get either a tour type win on the NASCAR Whelen Tour or a open modified win at Thompson or Stafford. So I think that's really doable. I think I have enough experience now to do it.
Absolutely,
and
I would agree.
Through the last 2 years running a tour type, I think I'm due for one. So.
Are you full time on the Whelen Tour this year?
No, just so we ran New Smyrna, next is Richmond, and I believe my schedule has Loudon on it.
Okay, so that's in July. Yep.
Both of the Thompson races, North Wilkesboro, historical track,
Yep.
ran there last year.
Yep.
And then Martinsville Speedway.
Cool. So a lot of the big tracks, right?
The Cup tracks.
The Cup tracks, and then
obviously
Thompson is a place you're very comfortable at as well. So that seems like a pretty cool little schedule for the Whelen Tour. What are you excited to go to Loudon? I know Loudon's kind of it's almost like a crapshoot a little bit because a lot of drafting. Are you excited to go there and run with those guys?
Loudon's a really cool place. Those are one of those tracks that we raced last year actually, and finished 6th in that race in the MRS race. That was their opening race, and so real excited to go back. I think we ran really good there, so I think we'll run really good there again this year. Obviously the competition's a lot more stiff, but once we find a rhythm, I think we'll come into our own.
No, absolutely.
I want you to touch on some other people that have helped you along the way. You mentioned, the Kopchik family has been a tremendous support and, attributing to your success. I know your dad, known your dad a long time. Your dad's a really hard worker from what, I've seen from his work ethic, laying over to your work ethic and getting involved. Just the amount of work that he puts in away from the track, but finding that balance to help you. Talk about that a little bit. I mean, I know he's you're still young. You're 17, like you said, so he's definitely still there for support every step of the way.
Yeah, it took me until probably last year to really realize how much work he puts in just for me. My father, I love him to death. A really great guy, and a lot of fathers don't do that for their kid. That much time and effort into it. It's loads of money being shelled out just for me, and to race 52 races last year, you start to add up the numbers, and it adds
up.
a little light there in the wallet.
Yeah.
But really thankful for him because without him, it would never be possible.
Right.
So thank him for all the success that I've had because like I said, without him, wouldn't be possible one bit.
It's great to see, a kid sitting here, especially at that age, just giving, I don't want to say giving thanks, but just realizing the support around him wouldn't be possible unless there were a certain amount of people. There are certain people in this that make the sport possible. Me and you've touched on it. Our dads, our families, our crews have been such a influential part of the success and the level we're at. It seems like 10, 15 years ago, when I was just starting, it's so much different now. I mean, prices are changing. The atmosphere of what we race in is so much different. The levels of competition, the equipment we have now, the technology. Every year it's changing, but at the same time, the people that support us every year never does.
That's true. That stuff doesn't change. The support doesn't change, and your dad is awesome. I love seeing him in the pits. He's always so nice. He's always so happy, and I'll never forget. I don't know if you remember, but we were in the back pits at Waterford when we were racing Legends. I think you were still in bandos at the time, and there was a rain delay. And it's just a memory I'll always have. We were out playing football with a Nerf football, and your dad, I think the ball landed over by your trailer, and your dad picked the ball up and told us to go long, and we were like, all right, he had us, and he threw the ball over our heads. I mean, he probably threw it almost the whole entire NFL football field length. It was unbelievable. We used to say we used to think your dad was an ex-NFL quarterback or something like that because he just threw the football so far. So that's just a memory for some reason I've always had, and it's just always so funny to think about that. But no, like I said, your dad is always so great to see in the pits, always so happy, and just glad to be there. So
that's what it's about, the memories. I mean, like Anthony, been helping Anthony with the legend cars. We had a lot of fun running. I mean, those years absolutely flew by. I can't believe. I mean, you were 11 years old when you started. Now you're up here 7 years later. It's incredible.
Yep.
And it's fun to watch. Looking back on those memories and all the pictures and videos. Go on Facebook. I see Facebook memories all race season long. Share them, tag each other. It's cool to see. I mean, just grew up way too fast in racing. It feels like racing goes faster season by season than you do in actual life.
Yeah, and you started racing. You raced bandos obviously a little bit too, right? Talk about that a little bit because it's kind of cool to think because us three have kind of had the same path,
but in different eras.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I raced bandos a couple of years. I know Joe raced for a few years as well. So did you. So talk about that a little bit, and what you kind of thought about that. The Waterford Speed Bowl, kind of like a lot of guys race legends or bandos, and then kind of move up to legends. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So in 2016, we bought our first car off of Jacob Perry, and we were set to run the season. We actually went to Bethel Motor Speedway first, and I ran my first feature.
Love that track.
And then a guy named Wayne Kirkpatrick, he had his seat open for another bandolero, so we were going to do both, run my car at Waterford, run his car at Bethel. So it's kind of what we did, and then we kind of faded off from Waterford a little bit and ran more Bethel. Probably I'd say season and a half at Bethel, half a season at the Waterford Speed Bowl. And then the year after, we went full-time at Bethel and went for a championship. Unfortunately, came up a little short, finished second in points, rookie of the year there as well. But yeah, those 2 years of 2016 and 17 were really years of, starting to get into the sport of auto racing. And, that series there is a great way to start. You can get your kid in there at 8 years old through INAX Legend, and really, I guess, having some kid that young in there, it really gets them used to a full car.
Right, a big track, being behind the pace car, restarts. I mean, I agree. I think they're, especially at Waterford. I mean, it's a as an 8-year-old kid, right? You don't even think about it, but
flat foot and go.
Looking back on it, right? Like, an 8-year-old kid at Waterford, full bore.
In anything, really.
Yeah, it's intimidating. I'll be honest. As when I was 8 running a bando the first time around Waterford, it's a big track for especially when you're used to running a go-kart or something along the lines of that, and then just going to a 3/8 mile track, which in a modified seems like so small, but in a bando is like forever. So
Feels like Daytona out there.
right, true. It's almost
foot.
like it. But some of the racing over there is crazy, like drafting and just it's crazy.
It's funny he brings up Bethel a lot because, I mean, we've had lots of good memories everywhere, but Bethel, we've had a couple funny ones. I mean, I think it was I think Novemberfest and Legend Stock. I think Legend Stock 2019.
19, yep.
I came up with a couple friends to hang out. You were running with Wayne, and you had a super fast car. I mean, flying. Qualified pretty well. I think you were in the top 5. Just hanging out because the A-Main Legend Stock is 50-lap race.
Yep.
It was late at night. I mean, it always is, and kind of a wreck fest in the beginning. But Anthony was saving his car. I think probably 30 to go. Just about halfway through, started pouring it on, and I think you were up to 4th or 3rd, and the car spun, and you wheel hopped, came up in the air, left rear slammed down, drove off. I'm like, oh, we're all right, and then pulled in, and the shock actually broke, and it peeled the mount off the rear end so bad that it started pouring oil out. So we're like, we're done. But you had a
spot for me.
I think I was spotting for you.
In the heat race too. The whole day.
I think I was spotting for you that night. So we just if one move goes differently, whether good or bad, it's just a totally different outcome.
And for those of you that don't know, Anthony was driving. They bought your old car, right? But they left the scheme pretty much the same except for the number, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's kind of
that's
kind of be kind
and we
of
left
cool.
the wind stickers on too.
There you go.
Yeah. So
and there was a lot of them, huh?
Yeah. There was a lot of them. That car won a lot of races.
Yeah.
Waterford mainly. I mean, just running when you run so well somewhere year after year, you kind of just stick there.
Right.
I mean, you're not planning on leaving Stafford anytime soon, right? With the SK division, I mean, you want to get some more wins there under your belt.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, this year I think we can rack up a handful. I think, and hopefully to stay at Stafford as long as I can with the SKs, and like you said, that's the best of the best SK modified competition in the country.
Yep.
So.
When you win there, it's a big deal. You know, there's a lot of pressure that comes with it. There's a lot of cars that show up. Obviously everything's broadcasted. They have a ginormous TV screen there. So if you do mess up, everyone in the stand sees it. Everyone in the pits sees it. Everyone at home sees it. But when you do win, it's a really big deal because it's Stafford. I mean, there's a reason they've gotten the SRX series there the last 3-4 years.
This will be the third year. Yeah.
It's a big deal to win there. So it's something that you'll kind of never forget for the rest of your life because it's just a big deal. But yeah, Joe, what do you think? I think he should buy a Legend car again.
Who's this, me?
Yeah, you.
I thought about it. I mean, just the amount of people that I've helped over the years and just had some fun times with at the track. I always wanted to get one. Just thought like starting a rental program. That's a whole another ballgame in itself. It's just because it's a lot of responsibility and a lot of work. But, buying one to mess around with and running occasionally, getting some friends in, I was throwing you in, maybe throw you in.
Some
and
wins.
Julio was talking about the same thing, just go in and mess around and have some fun on Wednesday nights. So it's in the cards, I'm down to, it's a race car. It's like all three of us, we would jump in anything if we had the opportunity.
Absolutely. Wednesday nights, yep. Wednesday night, what do they call it?
Wacky Wednesdays.
Wacky Wednesday,
I tell you what, the worst part, like the favorite part about that was racing on a weekday, because who loves racing on a weekday? The worst part about it was waking up on Thursday morning and going to school.
True.
Especially if you had, even if you won, you didn't want to go to school, you just wanted to relax all day Thursday and enjoy it.
Yep.
But then, you tell your friends at school you won at school, you have a good day Thursday.
Yep.
But at the same time, you have a really, awful night. You don't want to wake up in the morning.
No.
Especially with high school. You're waking up at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
So.
Definitely was tough.
Yeah, but those were fun years.
Yeah, good times for sure. I mean, racing in the middle of the week is always we've talked about it. It's always
especially at that age.
Said, yeah,
at that age.
At a younger age, right? Yeah. It's like if you had a good night, it's mixed emotions because you kind of want to go to school to tell your friends you won, but you also kind of don't want to do anything, right? But at the same time, if you have a bad night, it's like, oh man, I don't even want to. So it's definitely tough, racing during the week when you have to get up and go to school the next day. But in the summer, though, it was always kind of fun.
Yeah, and I raced legend cars for a long time. Middle school, high school, and even beginning of college. So 3 different types of school running legend cars racing during the week. It's different. So, So Anthony, what anything else in the works for you this year? I know just tour type mods, and you're traveling the country up and down the East Coast. You got to be excited to really get this started. I know Icebreaker's coming up, and you're going to be running that in a couple weeks.
Yep.
In the Open Show, I believe it's 100 laps. I know it's 10 grand to win.
1.5 actually.
Okay, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
So, you like Thompson?
I love Thompson. In 2021, we won the SK Light Championship there.
Yep.
With Paul French. So, I think that year there were 5 or 6 races, and our worst finish was second. We had 2 wins and 4 seconds. So
It's a pretty good average.
It's pretty good average finish
Yeah.
right there. Yeah.
Not too bad. That's pretty good. So, one thing we like to ask people sometimes is, next, 3, 4, 5 years, right? Where do you see yourself, and what do you see yourself doing in racing, and what do you want to be doing in the next few years?
Well, what I want to be doing is, NASCAR. I think NASCAR is something that I took a liking to, more of a loving to, I guess, at this point. And, kind of in the works this year is a NASCAR Truck Series ride. Just with NASCAR, it's all expensive, and you got to have funds to do it. But that's something that's kind of in the works. But that can start that journey for my next 3 to 5 years, down the road.
Right.
And probably around 3 to 5 years from now, I'd like to be in the Xfinity or Cup Series even, and kind of turn into more of my job than
Right.
that hobby that we race right now. And we say that's a hobby right now, but we spend a lot more, a lot of money on just a hobby. It's a little
Right.
insane.
Any ideas of what kind of team you guys are talking to with the trucks, or are you kind of still just trying to figure all that stuff out?
We're talking to Tyler Young Motorsports. He runs a 3-truck operation, including 1 ARCA car team.
Yeah.
So, we're talking to him. I've talked to a few people just to find that right team just to go with, and hopefully land myself. Once my foot is in that door, then it pretty much can carry me all the way through.
It's tough to get the foot in the door. I feel like that's one of the toughest parts. I mean, obviously finding sponsorship, and finding the funding to keep, progressing, but just getting your foot in the door, getting those connections is tough. But once you kind of get those connections, it seems like, it makes it a little bit easier to get things done in that region of racing. So hopefully it all works out for you.
Hope so.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for coming down today, Anthony. We appreciate the support. All of us at RaceChoice.com, the whole RaceChoice family, sponsored drivers. A lot of you guys have supported us. I know you bought a helmet right before Christmas as well, so you'll be using that bad boy.
Yeah.
Bad boy. Don't forget. See what I did there?
There you go.
Nice,
So
thanks.
you like that?
Good job, Joe.
Yeah. So that'll be coming into play. I'm hoping you're going to use it at Thompson, right?
Yes.
All right.
Should be using that Thompson because we're running 2 cars. I'm actually running a double duty on Sunday.
Okay.
I'm running the 47 SK
And the Open Show.
Yep, 179.
So as Andrew likes to say, tag us on social media. So we expect a helmet on top of the car, maybe strapped in. Thanks for the helmet at RaceChoice. I think you can do that for us, right?
Yeah, of course we can.
So we like that, Andrew. That's cool, right?
It is always good. And Anthony's obviously been here a couple of times throughout the off season. And what's nice about us here at RaceChoice is you can come here,
say hello.
call Joe, say hello, and say, hey,
Get some
listen,
gear.
I need to try some shoes on. I need to try on a helmet. I need to try on a suit. Come in here and we'll take good care of you. So that's something Anthony's taken advantage of over this past off season, and we really appreciate it. We really appreciate your business and your support, and this is why we're giving back to you. We wanted to interview you and kind of have you in here and talk to you a little bit today. So we really appreciate you coming in, talking to us. But before we go, we always like to give the drivers a chance to thank anyone that they want to thank, any people, sponsors, anything along the lines of that.
Yeah, definitely for sure. My father, my whole family for getting me to where I am today. The French family, the Kopchik family, the Jensen family, for all putting me in this position that I am nowadays, and ready for another year, and I'm young, I'm ready to go. So let's get after it.
Right.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. That is Anthony Bello joining us from Middletown, Connecticut, RaceChoice Studio. Look out for him this year at Stafford Motor Speedway, Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park in just over 3 weeks, 3 weeks from this weekend. Real excited to watch Anthony this year, and thank you for being a part of Team RaceChoice.
No problem, guys. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Best of luck this season.
Thanks. Good luck, bud.